Brian Kelly spoke yesterday at his weekly press conference, and Beck, we're going to start here with number 12 on this cut list. It's just talking about examples of not being focused on the details when you're out there trying to execute the play that's called.
I really liked the energy we played with, the want to and the care, and not looking at La Tech and saying, well, this isn't Clemson. I didn't feel that at all. What I felt was lack of attention to detail in some areas. Look, we had a penalty. I'll give you an example. We're kicking off at the 50-yard line. Now, if you kick that thing out of bounds, it's a 30-yard penalty. They start on the 20, right? Or they tell you to back up 5, and then we kick it out of the end zone. That is a play we've gone over and over and over and over for tactical advantage, and we line drive it into the front line guy. Unacceptable. So we had things like that occur that is attention to detail and being on top of your work. So if I felt like we were flat and unemotional and didn't play with a desire that we need to, I'd be a lot more worried going into this game.
I was excited when he said he was going to give an example, and then I don't really care about the kicker line driving it off the Tech up back. Like, that's such a small element of the game. If this is a national championship game or you're playing a team that you're on even footing with, yeah, we can talk about whether or not the execution of the kickoff was good. I was looking for something else. But I think that the thing that you keep hearing from the players and the coaches that LSU was ready to go on Saturday, just didn't play very well. And that is a little bit concerning because, like, I talked to West Weeks last week, and he said that, hey, we weren't ready to go against Nichols last year. And you're hoping as an LSU fan that, like, that's what was the case against Louisiana Tech. You hope that you're ready, you just weren't ready to play, and the lack of effort caused your lack of execution. I don't know that they believe that. They just think they played very poorly. And if you're going to play your worst game of the season, the team you want to play it against is 1 Southeastern and then 2 Louisiana Tech, 3rd Western Kentucky. So maybe you caught a break from that perspective, but it just wasn't very good. And we talked yesterday about Garrett Nussmeier's effort in the game, and he just wasn't accurate. The deep ball was well underthrown. And Brian Kelly spoke to Nuss's performance against Louisiana Tech.
You know, he did some really good things. Look, his standard is so high. I mean, they think he's going to be in Mount Rushmore in about a month. You know, I mean, it's crazy, the expectations. And he's still a college player that is working to get better. So there's some things that he would like to do better. And I think, he would tell you that, he learned a lot from last week. And that's great. That's all you want. At the end of the day, I want to see our guys go, I learned some things here that are going to help me be a better quarterback. And we'll ask all of our players, including Garrett, to think that way.
And my concern level with Garrett Nussmeier is like a 3. Like, it's not even close to an 8, 9, or 10. I wish he would have hit the deep ball. It was weird to me that Berrien Brown broke free and Nussmeier underthrew him by 5 steps. You hope there's nothing from an injury perspective that's hampering him. He certainly didn't look injured against Clemson. But that being that off target on a deep ball is concerning to me, just because it's just not something we've seen from him in 2 years. And so I'm not concerned about the accuracy. He missed a couple of intermediate to deep throws. I think he's going to be just fine, but that wasn't a good effort. And if he plays like that with that running game against good teams in the SEC, LSU's going to get beat. But I don't think he's going to play like that every week. I think he's going to be better. The lack of explosiveness in the passing game is something that we've talked about for the last 2 days, and Brian Kelly got his opportunity to ask about it.
You've seen what we're doing. We're a lot more creative relative to the running game and getting some explosive plays. I think Berrien Brown had an explosive play in the running game. Xavion had explosive. Harlem had an explosive. I think those explosive plays maybe went to the receivers last year, and you're seeing more explosive plays in the run game. We need to score more points. I think really the issue for me more than anything else is converting in those tough territory areas and scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. I like the balance now that we have explosive receivers that can catch it, but we also can run the ball and get some explosive. We really struggled with that last year. And so where I'll really be interested in see where this thing falls is our conversion rate in the red zone and scoring touchdowns instead of field goals.
Those explosives in the running game are due more so to the talent carrying the ball than it is the execution up front and the blocking and the play call, to me. Like, yeah, Xavion busting around the corner, that's a good design. Well blocked. Big run. Awesome. That was a 50-yard run. Loved it. That's good on every front. But, like, Caden Durham, the first play from scrimmage against Clemson, that's not play design. That's a guy who spun off a tackle, put his hand on the ground to shake that tackle, and then turned it up and got to 25 yards on the ground. Harlan Berry's long run, he had to shed a Tech defender right at the line of scrimmage, and once he did, whoosh, gone out the back door, and he runs it for 40 yards. Like, and good, you've got the great players. I'm all about that. That's great. But I don't know that I would necessarily attribute that to great play calling or great execution. I would attribute that to great players, which is good because you've got a lot of great players, and we've talked about that significantly. As far as explosiveness in the passing game, it's probably a different conversation if they overturn Berrien Brown's to a touchdown at Clemson and Nussmeier hits Brown in stride for a touchdown against Louisiana Tech on the first drive. Then all of a sudden it's not, well, why can't they hit explosives in the passing game? All of a sudden at that point it's, oh, well, Berrien Brown's one of the most explosive players in the league because you've hit him for 2 deep touchdowns in 2 weeks. That is quality play calling. That is a quality player. And in one case, it was great execution, just out of bounds. In the second case, he got wide open and Nussmeier couldn't get the ball out there to him. So my concern level on explosive plays in the passing game is very low as well. I think LSU will hit those because I know Berrien Brown's explosive, and I know Chris Hilton's explosive, and I know Aaron Anderson's explosive, and I've got confidence that Nick Anderson can help you in that perspective as well. And I think that day is coming. But you're going to have to do some of the things around the line of scrimmage better, blocking, protecting, and running the ball to get the explosive plays down the field. And if you can't do those things at the line of scrimmage, teams are going to continue to do what Louisiana Tech did and play deep coverage and take the deep ball away and make you dink and duck it down the field like LSU was really forced to do a lot of the time last year. And Garrett Nussmeier is capable of doing it. He threw for 4,000 yards doing it and got LSU to a really consequential game against Texas A&M, unbeaten in the league doing it. But it's a harder way to make a living. You'd really rather execute some of the short things, get the ball down the field a little bit more easily, and get those chunk play touchdowns instead of having to go 13 plays to go 80 yards. So we'll see. I'm not overly concerned about the passing game. I am concerned about the running game. And I'm hopeful that there's a little bit of lack of motivation on Saturday night against Louisiana Tech. We'll see. More from Brian Kelly on tomorrow's show. We'll have him from the SEC teleconference, and then we'll have some player interviews from today that we can play on tomorrow's show as well. Still a lot of sound coming out of the LSU football operations building. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.